Welcome back to my backyard snack yard on a very cold Sunday here in February. We are indoors because it is so cold outside. I've got myself a little pot of compost here warming up so I can plant something that really needs to get into the ground. I just spotted this in the supermarket and I had to get a hold of it. Last year we had some gardeners here and our rhubarb plants got completely decimated. So I have already started replacing them. I found one that was called a raspberry red, a little pot of those in the autumn, and I planted it up. So far nothing has come up yet. It's still too early to expect new growth, but I'm hoping that we'll have some rhubarbs this year. But when I saw this guy, he just looked ideal to try, and look what he's already got. Growth! I've seen some videos on planting rhubarb because you get them as little tiny roots, and very often it's difficult to tell which way is up. But I think because he already has some growth there, let's get him out of here. It should be quite easy to see which way I should plant him, I would have thought. And he looks like he really needs to get out there because the leaf is starting to look a little bit ruined. Let's get in there. Here's the root, and you see if it was a little bit earlier in the season when the root was still really dormant, it would be really tricky to tell which way is up. But because it's as it is, it's super simple. And I'm just going to plant him up now. I would usually want to soak him for a bit. He's super dry. And these guys are a bit finicky. They don't want to dry out, but they also don't want to be sitting, rotting in very, very sopping wet soil. So I'm just going to, I'm going to plant him up, give him a good drink, and then put this pot in a sort of bowl so that any water can run through and not damage furnishings in here. I'm going to be leaving him in the greenhouse just because he needs to acclimatize, but yeah, I think I'll put him out there now. It's just so cold outside that it's tricky because he's indoors right now, but let's just sort him out. I've had to dig a really big hole here. It's amazing because they get such big roots. Actually, a lot like strawberries, you don't want to cover these guys too much. I think that can really cause them to rot, and they seem to be quite prone to that. So we've got some very nice loose soil here, and I'm just going to give him a good feed to get him settled in. It's getting so dark in here. I've turned some light on, and I'm just going to give him a really big feed. This has got some liquid seaweed feed in it too. It'll really help boost him. And then any excess water can just run down through the drainage hole in the bottom. But it should get nice and saturated. I'll let it sit in that water for a couple of hours. And I would love to take it outside to get it acclimatized. It's far too early to put it outside into the actual garden because the temperature is about 2 degrees Celsius out there overnight at the moment, and it dips down to like minus whatever. I think -3 is the lowest it goes, but it's still too cold for all this new fresh growth here. It actually says here on the instructions to plant it out between March and April, but of course the plant was really ready to go. It wouldn't have done it any good to sit around in that plastic bag for another month or so. So I might wrap this pot up in some bubble wrap just to make sure the roots stay okay and warm, and then put this guy out in the greenhouse surrounded by other pots. That sort of helps them stay warm as well, and hopefully he'll be okay. But it's going to be fun to be growing this guy in here. I think I'll keep him in a pot for at least this year, and I might plant him into the garden in the autumn when he's grown a bit. He's established some roots and he's shot out a few of these beautiful stalks there. So much fun. I'm so loving having these guys. I've really heard good things about this particular cultivar as well, red champagne. They're supposed to be a bit sweet, but rhubarbs are just so delicious. So I'm so happy to have some back in the garden. I was really sad to lose them last year. So let's get this guy wrapped up. It fits perfectly. I actually got this piece of bubble wrap yesterday when I found a beautiful little glass candlestick in a charity store for a few pounds. On a sort of weekend walk, so really pleased I kept it and keep these little plants nice and safe. So as soon as he's finished his little drink here, I'll put him out into the greenhouse and hope he'll be okay. It's just so cold. It's the next morning, and after a whole night of soaking up lots of water, he is looking so lovely and strong. He's had enough strength to pull himself up and be nice and upright. So looking so good. There's another one on the way there from the crown, and as you can see, I have left that crown really proud of the soil down there, just to make sure that there's less chance of crown rot, because that is something that they are prone to, and I really want to avoid it. That's one real big killer of rhubarbs, especially in our very wet climate here in the UK. So I have changed my mind about overwintering him. We're still only in February and it's really cold outside. We had another very, very cold night, and right now the temperature hasn't risen much. It's about 3 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to keep him inside. He's already woken up for spring. It's too late now to put him back to sleep for sure. And if I put him outside, there's just a chance of him getting really damaged. Even in the greenhouse, it's still very cold out there. So I'm going to keep him on a nice warm windowsill and just keep him going. Feed him up, get those roots really nice and strong, just really get him established. And then when our last frost date has passed in May, I'll put him outside, keep him going in that pot. I wanted to see how much he grows, how well he does, because growing them in containers is something that is really easy to do, and it should do really well. I think they do say to put them in really big pots. So as he grows and fills out this pot with his roots, I will be moving him onwards and upwards, and eventually he might go into the garden if I find a nice little spot for him. They can be quite big and take up a lot of space, so I want to make sure I have a nice sunny spot for him. But we'll just see how he goes. I'll do some updates. Really happy to have him. So much fun. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait to make lots of rhubarb dishes and desserts, and I've seen this wonderful fermented sparkling drink which looks really healthy and so delicious that you can make with rhubarbs. So lots of things to look forward to. I don't think I'll be able to pick anything from him this year because he just really does need to grow and establish himself. So it's something to look forward to in the future. And of course I do already have one plant in the ground which hopefully will do well this year too. So we'll see how it goes, but I'll see you next time. Bye for now.